Well, good afternoon. I'm Carol Wyatt. I'm with Baylor Scott and White. I home out of Dallas area. I've been with them 18, 19 years. I've kind of lost count. About year and a half ago, I moved out of the operations side and over into the quality and compliance side. So I'm the one that gets to review the program and then find gaps in our services that might compromise patient quality and patient safety. So that in a nutshell is about what I do.
Hello, Monica Garcia. I've been in the HTM field for going on 30 years. I started out after received my degree, started as a reuse technician for Fresenius. Back then, we used to reprocess dialyzers. Worked there with Fresenius for about 3 years. Moved on over to a hospital setting. And after 7 years, we were outsourced by Aramark. Worked with Aramark for about 7 years. Um, and then I was very blessed with a position with UHS. Worked with UHS as a senior biomed for about 3 years, I believe, and was transitioned to an interim director. And about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years, obtained the director position. And I feel very blessed restructuring the program, building my team. Um, I have very strong skill sets on my team, and I'm just truly grateful. I've pretty much done it all in my years of in the field.
I have a quick question. Can you hear anything through the microphone? Okay, I didn't think so.
No, they're just recording.
Oh,
It's just recording.
It's recorded.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
There's some seats up front here. All right, so we've got some questions that we kind of put together. We're gonna allow you guys to ask some questions at the end, so please hold them. While we're talking, if you have any follow-up thoughts that you'd like to share, please let me know. So the first question goes to Carol and Rhiannon. What or who inspired you to get into the HTM field?
Carol, do you want to start?
Why, yes, I do. I got in by accident. I thought I was military trained, and I thought I was getting into a field where I got to design and produce medical equipment for disabled people. Obviously, I signed up for the wrong thing, and I figured it out about 3 months into the school, but I stuck with it anyway. And I have to say, it's probably the best mistake I ever made.
Growing up, my grandmother was a traveling doctor. She had 4 doctorates, and she took a big part in raising me. My mother-in-law was also an ER trauma nurse. So both of those idols in my life influenced me to make my call to choose biomedical equipment technology as my school. So I did the 2 years there, not really knowing what biomed was until about 6 months into the program, and I fell in love with it. The thing that I liked the most about it, there was only 2 women in the class. 2 of us. So when I graduated with 2 women and got my first job as an in-house biomed and got my gears rolling, I started seeing more of the things like, okay, you're a woman, you don't know your tools, you need to take a tool test. Why do I have to take a tool test? So the more I was told that I couldn't do something, the more I wanted to do it. And I have 2 kids. I have a 19-year-old and a 12-year-old that look up to me and see me go to work every day. And having those kids look up to me has kept me in the industry as long as it has. But it's more than my family, and it's more than the influences that made me join HTM. It's the value I get out of it. It's the fact that I get to go to bed at night when I'm done working a long day and rest my head easy, knowing that I made a difference. And just getting out there and knowing that you can go out and work behind the scenes to make miracle happens, that's pretty cool.
All right, next question. What was the first big or most important promotion in your HTM career to date, and what do you attribute your success to?
Oh, back to me again? Wow. Okay, so I think the biggest thing in my career today was my push to get into a leadership position. Whenever I was put into that leadership position and said you need to run a team and you need to figure out how to build the policies, that's whenever I felt the biggest struggles. And that's when I had to sit down with my mentors and do weekly one-on-ones. And that's when I had to learn how to service the equipment in a way that I can train downward. So through leading is when I found the big push to grow. And the more I learned, the more I was able to cross-train downward to my peers. And the more I learned for myself, that opened the door into getting anesthesia training and many other schools. I'm gonna pass the mic.
So for me, I didn't want the promotion. I was offered a manager position. I didn't want it. I wanted to continue to work on equipment. I kind of got pushed into it, and I'm glad I did, because here I am. I'm still able to make a difference. Like I said, I get to now train, not really train, but set up the younger techs for success. Make sure the next generation has opportunities to grow. Work with Collin College in Dallas to grow their program, get more people in the field, start speaking at high schools to try to get interest into the field so we can get, continue to grow.
I just gotta add to that. Okay, so first of all, this woman right here is a powerhouse to me. Andrea Brainard is a powerhouse. When I met this chick, I was selling biomed videos to train biomeds. What is it? CTI Productions. I don't know if a lot of y'all might have them old videos, but I was there. When I met Andrea, she was 9 months pregnant, still getting on the floor, working on OR tables. And I'm like, baby, what? You're going to go into labor right here, but at least you're right here near hospital that's going to take care of you. But she was so passionate about the field and she was just unstoppable. From that day, she had my loyalty. I was like, women have it hard enough. We're told that we can't do the same things that the guys do. We get blocked when we try to go and do the other things that guys do, like imaging. It's hard. It was always hard to break the glass ceiling. I myself was told by a guy when I'm working on the floor on something, what are you doing down there? Shouldn't you be at home or something? I said, were you raised in a barn? I said, you know what? Whatever you can do, bruh, I can do, and honestly, I'm like you, but 2.0. But it's just, for her, I have watched her career grow and I've watched her grow. And she's always wanted to touch something, do something, be something. And she's inspired me, even though I'm older than she. And I know that my history is like planetary. It's like kind of global. I don't even know what to say about my career, everything I've done in my career. But I've done a lot. But I've been inspired by her ever since the first time I met her. She told me, without even saying a word, Jewel, whatever you want to do, you can do it. If I can get down here 9 months pregnant and still get the job done, you need to stop complaining. I'm like, yeah, I hated working on dialysis. It was nasty. But I'm like, I'm so glad that I watched her because she told me I could do it. Give me some Hershey's Kisses.
I know. All right, we're going to jump around here a little bit. So speaking of glass ceiling, has the glass ceiling been broken for women in HTM leadership roles? And then follow up, do we have many women repairing imaging, CT, and MRI?
Okay, so this is a passion of mine. I am like really, really frustrated when it comes down to where our women are when it comes down to HTM. Yes, our numbers are gaining ground every day. More and more women are finding out about this field. More and more women are seeing that they can do it. But there are a lot of women out there that are just intimidated by the field, and we just need to stop that. A lot of our women here, we are not extroverted. We're introverted. We go and we do our jobs. We keep our heads down because we don't want to deal with the guys or what they're going to say or what they're going to do. But it's you guys. Y'all got to tell other women, baby, I do this. And I'll tell anybody, I wasn't even good at math. But it's about learning the process, learning what you need to do, and being able to understand the technology in a way that you can absorb it. Do I think the glass ceiling has been broken for women in HCM? Yes. But when it comes down to us working in diagnostic imaging, CT, MRI, CT, which is the Cadillac of our field, do you know how much a CT tech makes? And most of the time, they can still just sit at home and make that money because they're only needed when they're needed. It's insane. But where are we in that? Less than 1%. In the nation, less than 1%. What's wrong with us? It's not like we can't do it. We can do it. It's not like it's a high degree of physics that you don't understand. It's just a bigger infusion pump. But it's just more you have to understand. A larger schematic, yes, but don't limit yourself to just biomed equipment. Take the opportunity to get out there and learn something different. But a lot of this depends on your leadership because I have women out there calling me saying, "Hey, Jewel, do you know a biomed, an imaging program that I can pay for myself?" And I said, "Why are you paying for it yourself? Go to your leadership, tell them that this is what you want to do. They should be paying to train you to make you a more valuable asset to the field. Why are you looking for a school?" But when they go to their leaders, well, so and so is going, and so is going. And I'm like, hold on. You could do it just as well as he can. You could probably get in there and learn on your own and take over the department. I don't understand this for me, but it's like it's one of those things that your leaders need to invest in you because you are worth it. You are so worth it. Not only do you bring that customer service piece, but you bring a gentler, easier way of handling things to the customer. You're nurturing naturally. You bring another side that can improve the program, improve the bandwidth of the program. Don't be afraid to tell your leaders that this is what you want to do. Don't be afraid to go out there and try it. If somebody's out there working on it, shadow. Hey, can I go with you? Can I go check that out? Can I learn more about that? Tell your bosses in your reviews, I want to do that. I want to try my hand at that. Send me.
Thanks, Joel. So as Carol alluded to, she's switched gears and has done the compliance part of it, which is a big part of HTM. Joint Commission, DMV, whichever one you use. You've got to know the ins and outs, the rules for that and whatnot. So the question here is, for someone new to the field, what do you suggest learning in compliance and regulatory arena and how to stay current with these?
Why, thank you. John, remember, take pics. Yeah. So the best thing I can tell you is read your policies, understand your policies, follow your policies. That's the short answer. The long answer is those policies are to narrow gaps between what the Joint Commission or DNV, CMS, MIDAS, everything else. It's to identify those gaps between the service you provide and the quality of service that's given to the patient. It's hard. We seem very removed from that, but we're not. We're like the doctors of the medical equipment. If that medical equipment isn't right, you said the infusion pumps, imaging equipment, prime example, they have to be pretty precise. If they're not precise, we're degrading the quality of patient care in our hospitals and our clinics. So it's our job to reduce those risk of use. There's always inherent risk to using any type of equipment. Everybody knows that. We want to reduce that risk, and we reduce that risk by knowing our policies, following our policies, knowing the Joint Commission standards, following the Joint Commission standards, knowing what a MIDAS is, knowing what a Sentinel event is, and I'm happy to talk all day about all this stuff. But short answer, know your policies. And follow your policies.
Piggyback on that too. Okay, yeah, as you can see, I got a lot to say all the time. But okay, that's just yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you this. HTM, you are the first line of defense for patient safety in any hospital. The first line. Nothing should get past you. They shouldn't be able to bring in a piece of equipment that you haven't seen or you haven't touched. And your staff should know to call you when anything shows up or anybody shows up with something. But for us, How many of you guys have worked with a mod adverse event? Has anybody ever worked with mod? You have? Anybody else? Every okay, what two? All of you guys should know what mod is. When there is something wrong with a piece of medical equipment, something that has hurt a patient, it should be reported. That's your due diligence. If you have your steps for what happens if there is a patient injury with a piece of equipment, do you all know what you're supposed to be doing? Any of you? What are you supposed to do? Yes, right. But one of the biggest things is yes, you sequester the device, but you know you got to lock it in a room with everything still attached to it. And do you know that if you should push for your policies to have a third party come in and look at that piece of equipment after you look at it before it's put back into service? But I've come into hospitals to where they would just put the device on the shelf and it actually got picked up and used on another patient. It is scary. But this is why it's important that you know your procedures and the policies of your hospital and you be that first line of defense. When you see somebody's trying to do something like that, you're that person that steps in with the voice and say, we can't do that. That's not a good, safe thing to do. And you should be that advisor. They do look to you to be the subject matter expert. Be that.
All right, a question for Monica now. Y'all, she's been nervous all day. I told her it's fine. Shake it out, shake it out. That's right. Why should women pursue a career in HTM?
I'm going to go back a little bit. HTM wanted to be an engineer. Um, uh, HTM was the easy way to go. But truly, it is a difficult field as a female. And I'm just going to keep it positive. My journey has been a difficult one. Being from South Texas, we're only two females in South Texas. And not till only recently did I see how huge the HTM field was and how much of an impact us as females can affect healthcare. Us as women, we have characteristics, nurturing, empathetic, and we have the potential to be strong leaders. Um, the majority of women that I've met care about their job. Um, and I think I veered away from the question. My apologies. But it is, as a female out in service training, service schools, daily operations, it is lonely. It is lonely to be a female in the HTM field. Um, you cannot bring your personal out of work problems with you. You have to be strong um, and keep find your male counterparts that are strong. Um, cling on to them, learn from them. That's what I did. I've met amazing amazing coworkers that have trained me, that have lent a lot of their skills to me. And I've been truly blessed to have grown in this field. I have an amazing leadership. I've met amazing people, but you have to be driven, invest in yourself. Um, a lot of reading, a lot of training, anything that's open out there. Um, LinkedIn is an amazing resource. There's amazing women that are driving the HTM field right now. Met Ree through LinkedIn, Andrea, and I'm just amazed at of the impact that you as a female, and don't let the negative, don't let the little stuff. Honestly, us being in the field, it's like I said, it's very lonely. You're not always going to be part of the group. You know, you are in a male-dominated department. Um, you will be excluded from a lot of stuff, but just stay focused. And like I said, invest in yourself, and everything else will come.
Yeah, and I'll add on to that. Find a mentor, whether it's through LinkedIn, whether it's through one of us, somebody you know. It doesn't have to be female. I've had great mentors that are males. One of them sitting right here, Jim. He was my boss back. He left. He's back. So, but and you got to have the right leadership too. If your leadership supports you, regardless if you're female or male, then you've got it made. Use your resources. I mean, biomed, HTM, it's a small community still. Everybody knows everybody. At the end of the day, we all know each other. I mean, I've known some of these ladies for 20 years. So, latch on to that. Find somebody that you can talk to, bounce IDs. Carol and I, she was saying, she emails me all the time. Hey, have you done this? Do you have a policy on this? What's your job description? And we just go back and forth, it's like take out children's health piece of it and, email it to her. It's like, there's no trade secrets, but it's like, why reinvent the wheel when somebody's already done it, right? So use your resources. All right, next question for Anid. How do we address the staffing shortage in HTM?
Um, to address the staffing shortage in HTM, I think that we have to create more awareness. And we live in a technical world now, so I would say more awareness through social media, LinkedIn, TikTok, any social media platform, because that's where the youth is at, and that's how we could gravitate them towards HTM industry. Also, creating more opportunities. Voltech, probably some programs in the Voltech Community College, entering into the high schools and offering like summer programs that they could get some hands-on and maybe get some more knowledge on the HTM industry. I think that's going to be a great way to get some more awareness and to the shortage of HTM industry.
Girlfriend, you know me. Uh, okay, so this is big right now because I've been going around to different colleges and talking to different groups about this particular issue. Yes, a lot of our seniors in biomed are leaving. It's time to retire. They're ready to go sit in Florida, and I'm like, I'm excited for you. Number one, did they pass on the knowledge to the next one coming up? Big issue. If that hasn't happened, that needs to happen before the next one leaves. You need to know what they know because they know where all the bones are buried, number one. But number two, they are a powerhouse of information on how to fix anything. Our staffing shortages, we have long-term staffing shortages and right now needs. Long term, yes, we need to be in the high schools. We need to be in the middle schools. Some people talk about starting as early as elementary school to get the word out about our field. The problem we have is we lack the amount of people that's willing to walk into those schools and say, hey, we exist. Whatever your kids are doing, if they're doing a career day or whatever, take that moment out to go and talk to your nearby schools. Tell somebody about this field. That's long term. Short term, we have a ton of empty positions out there, and everybody wants the best and late greatest biomed 2 or 3. Guess what? Their jobs and their bosses are doing whatever it takes to hold on to them. You can't have them. So, what do you have to do? You have to create that biomed tech that you need. Number one, I work with entry level technicians on a regular basis that need an advocate and need a voice to put them in that position. So look at the go to the colleges, grab their technicians. Number two, invest in those technicians. Get them with a technician that's already a 2 and 3 in your industry and train them up. You can turn them into the biomed tech that you want. But this is the big one. I go to different colleges and I spit out the same thing. I'm sorry, but change your program so that your biomed techs graduate with a certification in something. If it's A plus, if it's ITL, if it's they can graduate. What is it? It's the CABT. But make sure that your graduates have some type of certification so that they can be seen as more than just an entry level. I go to the schools and I say this is not hard to do. Do you know that if you wanted, a college could take the AMY certification and make it a final exam? Wow, mind blown. There are all kinds of programs and things that they can do, sidebar classes, so that your graduates come out with something more than just a typical biomed degree. But the managers and leaders in those already positions, go to the colleges. Those kids are looking for any and every kind of opportunity. If you want to sample the wares before you hire one, tell them you'll take interns. All of them are looking for internships at the end of their program. At JPS, when I worked there, I requested 5 every time. Why? Because it gives me an opportunity to see what they're made of, who I want and who I don't want, who will be easy to work with, who will be easy to train, who can learn quickly, who's a second careerist, or who's just brand new. These are things that we can use now to fill those positions instead of trying to wait for some biomed 3 to get tired of where he's working at and come to you. You're going to have to make the technicians that you want. They're not going to just leave their jobs because as soon as you offer them something, their boss is going to say, I can't afford to lose you, so I'm going to offer you this. And then you're still going to be sitting there with empty hands. These colleges are begging for you to come out and look at their technicians. Come and look at who they got. Bring them on as interns. Check them out. See who you like, who you don't like. When they graduate, offer them a position. Too easy.
Thanks. All right, I've lost my place. All right, switching gears. How do you negotiate a higher salary or raise?
When it comes to when it comes to negotiating on a higher salary, I know that can make everybody nervous because we're talking about money, right? So we don't want to ask for too much, but at the same time, we don't want to lowball ourselves. So you want to use positive wording and know how to communicate your value. Let them know what your qualities and your qualifications are, what makes you stand out, and the value that you're going to add to their facility. Don't be afraid to ask for what you're worth. I like to inflate the price that I would ask for a little bit, so then you got space to negotiate. So if they do reduce what you asked for in the first place, then you're gonna come close to what you really wanted. Yeah. Yeah.
So another thing to add to that, and it's one I've used many times, glassdoor.com. You can kind of put in the zip code of the region you're looking at, put in the job title, and you can get statistics on what the average salary is for your position, and you can use that as a negotiation tactic when you're discussing those things. Also, don't be afraid to ask your peers how much they make. Know what your coworkers are making and use that. There's no law that says you can't know what your coworkers are making.
Yeah, I think Carol and I had that conversation a while back. Hey, what is your Tech 1, Tech 2? What is your starting pay? Living in DFW, there's a lot of hospitals, there's a lot of competition. So we're always bouncing off each other. Hey, where's the salary at? Because it gives us ammunition to go back to our compensation and HR department to make those justifications. We just did that. I just did that for our team. So 2 of my guys can attest to that. Managers back there, we just got a very significant bump in pay. And, as a leader, I fought for that for the past 9 months to try to get that up. It's like, if you want to be number 1 children's hospital, you got to pay my techs so I don't lose them.
The other thing that I found that is super helpful in this arena is you've got to take count of your wins. Document your wins throughout the year. Keep an Excel sheet. Whenever you save your company money because you sourced a part for $30 versus $500, document it. Keep it on an Excel spreadsheet. When your end of the year performance review comes up, use that spreadsheet, itemize it out, show them how much value you brought. This is how much money I have saved. These are the wins I made in ICU this year. By doing these repairs, I've saved this much time and this much downtime for our cath lab. So documenting your wins will help you win.
All right, so I'm going to go on the other side of it. But temper that with understanding of your leadership and the position that they're in when you go and ask. You can go in there all day and say, hey, I want a raise, and if I don't get a raise, I'm going to leave. Just know they can't just automatically say, okay, I'm going to give you this much. They have to go through a process, and they have to ask someone too. So they're going to be in there trying to fight on your behalf, and they're doing what they can. Be understanding of that. Be knowledgeable about that, because a lot of us make rash decisions thinking, well, I went in there and talked to her. I bet I don't get it. I'm going to go and apply here because she doesn't seem like she's going to do anything. But you don't know. She's got to go to somebody else. or he's got to go to talk to somebody else. He has to go and try to make a justification, and he has to be able to get a response from someone else to say if they can do it or not. So give them that time and be patient because they are working on your behalf.
Thanks. All right. So I don't have anybody down for this. So somebody other than Jewel gets to answer this. Actually,
Somebody would have, if they would have just gave me my own mic, I would have been fine.
All right. So what certifications should be required or should they be required? I know you mentioned the CABT for new students, but what are your feelings on CBET, CHTM for technicians? I'll let you answer.
Okay, first of all, there's no biomed tech that needs a CHTM. All right. If your job is going to compensate you for your CBET, I'm going to say, yeah, go get it. If you want to go get your CBET, talk to your boss and say, hey, if I go get this, will you recognize this? Or will they reimburse you for it? It is wonderful to have it. It is wonderful to say, hey, I have been acknowledged. I am certified to do this. Do you necessarily need it? No. I've had my entire career. I don't have a CBET.
I don't have a CBET.
No, I'm not CHCM. And I'm okay with that. But what I do have, I have an associate's in biomedical equipment technology. I'm trained by the military. I have a bachelor's in business studies and a master's in business administration with a concentration in healthcare management. I'm still educated. I can still work on the same piece of equipment. I'm multi-modality. I have 4 different modalities, plus I'm HVAC certified. I can work on hospital ventilation, air conditioning, construction, and walls. Yes. Thank you very much. Mic drop. All right. So what I'm saying is I never stop adding to my tool belt. And anybody can do it, but it's up to you to decide if you feel as if you want to go after that. If you want to challenge yourself to go and do that, get it. Get it because that's an accomplishment for you. If your hospital is willing to pay you for that, that's a bonus. It adds value to you and who you are. You should never stop learning ever. You always keep adding to your tool belt. You never know what tool you might need to use on any given day. But if you're not that person like likes to take tests, don't feel pressured into doing it. There are some jobs that require it. I know I wanted to go and work for Children's, and she told me, "Well, you can go take the CBET," and I was like, "Nope." But she said they're giving it next month. Nope. You know, number one, I'm sorry. I'm 53 years old. I've lived and have had an amazing career. Do I really wish to go and get a CBET to track? No, no, I'm not that. I'm not that cat. But when she had something that don't need it, she got me hands down. I'm all that for her all day. But you got to make that decision for you to see if you feel as if it adds value to you. Does it make you more value? Does it look good on a resume? Absolutely. You can get it, and everybody be looking at you first. Even the military, the VA, be like, "Oh, she got to see that." But it's about your future and what you decide to do for you. Anybody else?
I was in the field, I say about 22 years before my current job made it a requirement. When I got hired with UHS, we had a year to get our certification. That um, it was a personal goal. It's very rewarding to carry that title behind your name. It's like I said, it's not a requirement, but if it's something that you don't want to do, at least get some more education. Build on your associate's degree, go back to college, work towards something. Don't just become like me, get complacent. And I encourage it. It's just a personal reward, and it brings value to you out in the field and towards your department. Joint commission comes around, you're able to say, my team is CBET certified.
All right, so I know most of us have children. So the question is, as you've progressed in your careers, how have you maintained that work-life balance? I know with you, the travel.
Oh, you're gonna pass me the mic? All right. So this is a tough one for me right now. I recently was struggling with burnout. I worked for 16 years, and then that last 6 years of field service and juggling so many jobs with management, with the pandemic, with not being able to get our parts. I lost sight of how to take care of myself. I was too busy trying to grind and trying to go to work and get everything done that I stopped taking care of myself, and I did hit burnout. And it made me just want to walk away from the HTM field entirely. I can tell you what not to do real easy. What you should do, what you need to do is to chunk out time for yourself. And what I should have done and I didn't do was take my PTO time. You're given that PTO time and you sit on it and you don't use it, you're going to burn yourself out. Treat yourself to some time off every once in a while with your family. And when you take that time off, don't just sit around stagnant with your time. Make some goals to fulfill that are just for you, good things for you. Reading a book, building something, doing a trip with your family. Those are the things that recharge our batteries and make us go back to work and clear-headed and fresh. The other thing is when you're in work and you're going through your day to day, try to find ways to make your job flow. Things that can make your job flow better is aligning your preventive maintenance base months away in a way to where you're not backlogged with 1,000 PMs in one month and 100 PMs in another. Space them out. That way, when you're out in the field and you're doing your maintenance, you're not sweating month to month to month, making your life easier. So just making your life administratively for your preventive maintenance task is one way to do it. Delegating, having a team. There's no I in getting things done. You have your team. So if you can work as a team and you can delegate tasks down, and all work in unison and build that trust with your team, that's going to help a lot as well. But take your PTO time and take your lunch every day. Don't skip your lunch breaks. Drink plenty of water. It's really it's for me working in ambulatory surgery centers. I wanted to go in and I wanted to get the anesthesia machine PMs done. I was scrubbed in. I didn't want to leave for lunch. By the end of the day, I'm dehydrated. I haven't eaten lunch and I'm grumpy. I'm hangry when I get home to my family. Make that time. If you don't have the time, pack a lunch, put it in your car, take a break sitting in the outside in your car, eating your lunch with your music playing. But just find a way to chunk up your time slots and making time for yourself. It's so important because if you don't make time for yourself, something's gonna happen and you're gonna have time in the hospital.
I want to add to that. Okay. So I guess y'all know I just got to. I'm just waiting for somebody to say, if she would just please put the mic down and just walk away, I'd be okay. But and you guys are well within your right because you came here to get something, and I don't know if I'm giving it or not. But this is what I'm gonna say. Every one of my techs that I work with, I tell them the same thing. Reorganize your PM schedule so there's 1 month that you have absolutely no PMs. Why? Because you need that month to get your paperwork, your departments, and everything else in order. Clean your space up or whatever. Second thing was when it comes down to your on-call schedule, work with your team so you know what weeks you have on call, and then you plan out PTO in time with your family. Go out and do things with your family, and at 4 o'clock, walk the freak away. When it's 4 o'clock and you're done with your job, don't get back on the phone and talk about work. Don't call your coworkers and talk about work. That ride home is for you to decompress and relax and change your mindset from work to home. Call your husband on your drive home or your wife and start doing little love stuff, start talking romantic things. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, they can delete this. Foreplay starts in the morning, but I'm just saying. But it's just one of those things that you have to change your mindset from work to home so you can maintain that balance. I will say from a director's perspective, being a director of an HCM, and I know Carol can say this and Andrea can say this, Our phone is glued to us. 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, 7 a.m. We barely get any sleep. And it's all you want to do is just go up in there with everyone and just say, forget my number. Don't call me no more. Just email me and I'll get with you in the morning because the hospital does not stop. It's 24 hours. And when you're needed, is needed. It's very hard for us to have a work-life balance when it comes to that. So we have to be in constant contact with our spouses to say, hey, I have this job to do, but I do love you. And make that time with your spouses in between. Yes, quality time. And even some of the stuff, if it's not an emergency, you just have to tell your whoever's calling you, if it's not on fire, I'll get to it tomorrow. But other than that, you have to temper your time and say, you know what, I got a family, my kids need me too. You can always delegate if it's something that they're calling you for. Well, my daughter's got a recital tonight. Hey, can you take this for me? Can you answer my calls and whatnot? And you're gonna have some leaders clap back and say, hey, why did I have your senior tech calling me when I'm reaching out to you? Because they can do the same thing that I can do. You just want to hear from me, but they can do the same thing. Don't be afraid to delegate to someone when you need some time for your family, especially on the important things. That'll be one thing that you regret in this lifetime and in your career when your kids grow up and you barely saw any of it because you were trying to do something at work.
I'd like to add to
I'm gonna add real quick
that. Okay.
before I lose my train of thought.
Okay.
To add on to that, that was one of when I got into leadership, that was my fear, that I'm not going to have time. I'm going to have to be in meetings till 5, 6 o'clock. Um, the leader we had at the time, that was very much how she worked, and that scared me. Now I have leadership that 5 o'clock, they know if they need something, they're going to text me or call me. If it's an email, the expectation is I don't have to answer that email until the next day. And that's the expectation for my leadership team. I can email you because I might have a Friday night where we're all sitting on the couch and I'm catching up on emails and I might shoot 20 emails off, but the expectation is you don't answer it until the next business day. If I need you and it's urgent, I'm gonna text you or I'm gonna call you on the phone. So, and that's something as I got into leadership, that was hard to wrap my head around, to shut it off. And there's times where it's like, I'm sitting in the car waiting for gym pickup and it's like, well, I can get probably 2 or 3 emails gone through and I just get it done because that's 2 less I have to do tomorrow. But still, make sure that you have that conversation as you go into a leadership position to talk to your leader to say, hey, what is the expectation? Because I don't want to be working until 8 o'clock at night on the phone with you having meetings to try to figure out something. If it's urgent, sure, there's going to be those occasions, but it shouldn't be a regular everyday thing.
And I'm going to add to that, ask for help. If you're a technician and please don't wait till the last day of the month, but if you're a technician and you need help, ask for help. If you're a leader and you see somebody struggling, go up to them, say, can I help you with this? Can I help you accomplish this? Asking for help, I think, used to be seen as a weakness. Those tables have turned. Asking for help now is a strength. If you need it, ask for help.
All right, we'll now turn to the portion where we get audience questions. Anybody have a question they want to ask? Yes, Bryant.
Can you tell or share with us? Maria talked about
Monica.
talk about challenges that she went through. Can y'all share any challenges you may have to overcome, maybe with sexism? To feel how that going on now.
I'm ready.
Let her start.
Baby, I'm loaded for bear with this one. I give you the best example ever. I'm the only biomed in this hospital, the only one. I get called to the OR because they're having a problem with a surgical table. I go in there and I'm looking at it, testing it. I've already decided the hand control for the table is not working. I need to go back downstairs and get another one. As I'm working on that, the doctor says, let's get a man in here so see if he can figure out what's wrong with it. Wow. You talking about, I went a whole nother level. And I'm just sitting here like, sister girl is finna come out here and you finna hear the sounds of blackness. And I sat there and I said, "Shoo, hold it, because you don't want to be disrespectful, Joel. So we're going to temper this and we're going to tell this physician, because this is who said this to me. I said, if you would like." As he's going out to get the mail that he felt as if would be able to handle it, I walked out, walked downstairs, got the remote that I needed, told my boss I would be right back to have a conversation with you in a second. I went back upstairs. The man was in there and he opened his mouth and told the physician, "Doctor, I don't know what's wrong with it." As he was saying that, I was walking over, screwing in the new remote, and it says, and he was like, "Oh, you fixed it?" "Yep." I said, "Well, that's all that was wrong with it. You guys got it. You guys have a great day. Let me know if I can be of any assistance." I walked downstairs into my boss's office, closed the door, and became a mad black woman. And he's like, his hair just said, "Shh," because I was just going, feeling so diminished, so disrespected, so angry. And he was like, "You know what, Jewel? I apologize that that happened to you." And I would go up and I would talk to our leaders to make sure that that doesn't happen to you again. But yes, you hit that sexism where they treat you like you don't know anything. When I'm sitting here like, bruh, you might know how to diagnose a body, but I can diagnose a piece of equipment like I diagnose a body. It is all right. I'll be able to get you taken care of right away. But it happens. But you got to have that thick skin. You can't let it go right there as much as you want to. And trust me, it was about to go. I was about to go. I was about to say, screw the job, everything. You finna catch it, bruh. You don't know me like that. But it's about you want to be able to work in the morning. So you just have to hold that and go get some help from your leadership. And they do listen to you, even though they walk away saying, "Dang, has she been tested? She's crazy." But it happens. Anybody else?
I'll share a story that happened to me early in my management career, and that's when we would have meetings and I would throw out an idea and they go, "No, no, no, that won't work." And then 5 minutes later, one of my male counterparts would throw out the exact same idea and, "Oh, that's a good idea. Let's give that a try." And I had to come to Jesus with myself. And I'm like, the ultimate goal is to get my ideas or the ideas into effect. It really doesn't matter who they come from. So I got over myself and I started working with one of my male counterparts. I say, "Hey, can you pitch this idea for me?" He pitched the idea, it get implemented. So it is there, but keep in mind the end goal is to get what needs to be done done. And how you get there, that's up to you. Get there, and we all have different experiences. I think we probably all experience the same thing. But you can overcome it. And once you establish your reputation, you no longer need that crutch. They'll listen to you.
Um, One of the best advice my boss told me when I stepped into the role of director: know your stuff, be prepared. Don't go into a room unprepared. Be ready for those questions that they're going to ask you. Um, and truthfully, you will face leadership, and I don't really think sometimes it's sexist. I really don't think it's just you're the new one in the room, and they're going to challenge you. So just invest in yourself, be prepared, and know your business. Thanks. I have a great boss, great mentor.
Anybody else have a question? Other questions out there? Else have a question? Yes.
I just have a comment. Wonderful presentation. Thank you, ladies. I haven't seen women in engineering for quite some time. So I'm glad that you guys were able to get that going today at this conference. I haven't seen it in this presentation, but that's something that probably the focus is very specific to what you have in terms of the questions, but involvement outside of your jobs. I know some of you here, I know have various involvements in local biomed organizations. I would really love to have that included as well, because I feel like we're underrepresented. I just attended the Amy nominating committee for the fellows, and one of the things that has come up, we don't have enough women applying for the fellowship at Amy, which can be conceived to be any other organization, because I'm pretty sure that the same thing happens, that we're underrepresented when it comes to these kind of applications. So this is just an example, but I really do want to promote that. I have had the privilege of being involved very closely with Amy and ACC in my past life. Now handed it over to the younger ladies and the younger men. Certainly would like to make a fit for them. We do have some younger individuals that are eager and hungry to learn about our profession. So I want to make sure that we complement that with the engagement with our professional organizations at whatever level, local, state, national, international as well. So yeah, please do get involved. There's so much need in getting involved, whether it's a committee or some other work group or standards. Amy is involved in a lot of standards work. So please do increase that representation because they're looking for it. So, thank you.
Great, thank you. Yes, thank you. All right, we have 3 minutes, so another quick question from someone. I saw a couple other hands. Anyone? Yes.
Great story, by the way, too. Along with your coworker, I would have stood up to you.
Much respect.
Much respect. I do have a question. What advice do you ladies have for the men in the field to better help bridge the gap for the females that's coming to the field or the new women that they come about in this area?
Be a mentor. Be a mentor. Like I said, female, male, whatever, be a mentor. Have that female's back. Somebody's.
When you see that sexist behavior happening, stop it.
Yep.
Call them out.
Be more open and open-minded. Not keep secrets.
Yes.
Be more open to sharing,
And honestly, when they come into the shop, even as a new employee or whatever, hey, take them by the hand and show them around. Make them feel included. Let them feel like they're a part. If you're doing a repair, call them over and say, hey, have you worked on one of these before? Let me show you this. You don't have to just be fully responsible for them, but give them the avenues and let them know that it's okay. They can be in here and they can learn, they can grow with you, and you got their back.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for your questions, and thank you for coming and listening to us talk. We'll be around, so if you guys have any further questions, please reach out to us. I've put our addresses up here if somebody wants to take a screenshot of that. These are our direct email addresses.
But only 8 to 5.
Monday through Friday, right? No excluding holidays.
Well, I'm different. I'm recruiting, and if you look in, if you need resume help, if you need mock interviews, if you need, anything you need right there, contact me. I will be more than happy to work.
Okay, thank you.